Hello, my name is Chris Howard. As I get older, I realize that the stories of our elders need to be preserved. So I've decided to try my hand in the world of podcasting by recording some conversations with Frank Gutkowski. Frank's sons are Tony and Luke. I think of them as brothers. Frank, also known as Butch, also known as Old Man, has been a huge influence on me for many years. And here is how I plan to repay the favor. Please join me while I have a cigar with Butch. About a week since we sat down last time, and I'm sure he's got a couple of fishing stories already. Up until tonight, the weather wasn't too bad to get out for a couple hours here and there. So
I went yesterday, got an 8-pounder. I got a picture you can.
Yeah, we'll get that to Dolly. Now, did you go over there just yesterday?
Yeah, I haven't been out. Well, the smaller creeks were too low and Cattaraugus was too high. Yesterday was the first day I could.
Where'd you catch that one?
Go on to.
All the way up like behind Jubilee, or?
Yeah.
You go in, you park right there in the back parking lot of Jubilee, or you park off the side street?
No, usually in the parking lot. There's 2 different places there to get down. Well, actually 3.
Do you ever go down by the football field, or do you stay up higher like that?
No, I fish that whole stretch. It's just that off Aldridge Street, there's so many people, and all the easy ones are caught.
I know it seems like we're bouncing back and forth with the questioning, but we don't want to run out of topics. So we'll touch a little bit on each section each time and see how that goes. So we wanted to know what your chores were when you're on the farm. You said you're on the farm until you were mid-teenage, but I'm assuming you still went back to the farm any chance you got.
Oh, yeah, as long as they had the vegetables planted. They planted the vegetables up until I was like 14. So when the veggies were being planted, you helped. Picking, you helped. And I'm talking pickup trucks load of vegetables.
And then did you use the chicken manure right on the garden?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah, everything got spread on there one way or another.
And when you were a little guy, you probably just followed around and handed seeds.
Yeah.
And then as you got older, it was go pick some zucchini. Here's a basket.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, even the tomatoes, we were so small that we could only carry an 8-quart basket. So they set a bushel there. And you'd fill your 8-quart basket and dump it into the bushel.
Right. And they had enough tomato plants that you were picking bushels of tomatoes every week to go up to the market. Now, do they do that market just once a week up there?
No. Clinton and Bailey markets open 7 days a week. Or it used to,
right.
6 days a week.
So about every day on your dad's way to work, he was dropping stuff off.
It was out of his way. And then you've got the, what they call a commercial market, which is where our stuff went.
Like restaurants and whatnot.
Restaurants, grocery stores. By going to the commercial market, if you got your stuff in there early, you got more money for it. And
because they wanted to be able to buy bushels.
Yes.
They didn't care about going around and getting quart baskets.
No. You're taking, like, your Italian restaurants. They'd come in there, buy 5-6 bushels of tomatoes to make their sauce.
Right.
And even the grocery stores, would go in there.
Get what they needed for the couple of days or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys do any fruits like strawberries or apples or?
We did strawberries, but it was pick your own.
Okay. So the neighbors would come over and get strawberries.
Well, that, and we sold them on the fruit stand out
front, so people would come.
Yeah, and we had pear trees. I think 16 or 18 pear trees.
I think we talked about those last week. They're planted in the hedgerow. So
yeah.
That's fall. Pears are later in the year, right?
Yeah. But my dad, if we had enough, my dad would take a pickup truck load to the market.
Wouldn't he stop end of September? He'd stop going to the market, or a little bit before that, probably?
No, he'd go right up until Halloween when we had the stuff.
Oh, because you probably had pumpkins and stuff.
Yeah.
To go up too, right? And then all your squashes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A little later. At what point in that time period, your grandfather was aging, and did you notice him kind of stop? I mean, obviously, I'm sure he went until the day he couldn't go anymore. But
well, no, my grandfather's. You got to realize he was 89 when he died. I was 14.
Right. So right about the time they stopped with the vegetables.
Even when we were doing the vegetables, my grandfather's legs were so bad that he didn't last long, and most of the time my mom or my dad would bring a bale of hay out there, so he'd sit there and watch us.
Bark orders.
Yeah.
You're doing that wrong.
Yeah.
So you were probably you're 7 or 8 years old when he really kind of started sitting on a hay bale instead out there really cracking the whip.
And then in the end, he wouldn't even go. He'd go sit in his chair outside.
Yeah. Was that gradual enough that you just noticed it one day that he wasn't in the garden with you, or?
Not really. It just, he was backing off the whole time. Whereas there's times I remember him being there every day, and then all of a sudden he wasn't there,
Yeah.
And there was no hay bale.
Yeah, on the porch. And then we also last week touched on and I think it was after we were done recording, we talked about the meat rabbits.
Yeah.
Did you graze enough to sell a bunch of them, or did you guys put them up for yourselves, or?
No, my mom would try to have 100 rabbits for the holiday season to sell, because she would run out of them.
Right.
She'd have 100 rabbits.
Just word of mouth.
Just word of mouth, people that knew us.
Is that more of a Polish thing or more of an Italian thing?
Well,
or just a plain old country thing?
It's more of a Polish thing. The Italians would use it too.
You probably got fairly fast at processing a rabbit then.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing 100 of them.
Well, it wasn't all at once. You got to realize it'd be 6 here.
Right.
4 there.
Did you freeze them and wait for people, or
no? She'd butcher them
fresh.
She'd butcher them fresh.
So somebody'd come and say, "I want 2," and so when she got 3 or 4 together, she'd call them and say they were ready to go.
Yeah.
Because the meat rabbit thing, I think, is something that's, at least in our area, is not nearly as big as it used to be. I talk to a lot of people that talk about, their parents always raised meat rabbits, and Dad would work in a factory, and they would sell meat rabbits all the time, and there was always some in the freezer, and they ate a lot of rabbit.
Yeah.
It's a low attendant, not a lot of work to raising them as far as livestock goes, and they can produce a bunch pretty quick.
Well, I hope you do it to keep doing. Come on, we can move it, get to it all night long. Oh, yeah, I hope you do it to keep
we talked about working on your uncle's horse farm when you were working with racehorses.
Yeah.
Was that at your grandfather's?
Right next door.
So
The properties adjoined.
Okay.
The neighbor died when I was little. And my uncle had a little house at the end of his property. He bought a couple acres right next to the thruway and put a little house on it. And then when he died, my uncle contacted the estate and bought his other 60 acres or 80 acres, whatever it was.
And that barn was already set up for horses, or he built a...
No, he built the barn out of Ford plant wood that they used to put the boxes and the racks that they used to put the parts in for the Ford plant.
Yep.
Well, there was a guy that had a contract with the Ford plant to remove all their garbage. And the wood, if you took it apart, was good. So, you're getting 1-inch boards, tons of 1-inch boards, 1/2 and 3/4 inch plywood.
So you pulled a lot of nails.
Oh, yeah.
And then, so was he into racehorses before he bought that farm?
No, what happened is he was into pleasure horses. My uncle was into horses.
His grandpa was a horse guy.
Yeah. And then what happened is my uncle got into riding horses and, competition, ring-type competition horses. And he went for a couple weekends and became a farrier. Can't call him a blacksmith.
Right. Well, the blacksmith makes the shoes, the farrier puts them on.
Yeah, well, farrier also makes the shoes. Right. But anyways, and he started doing that, and somebody had taken their harness horse and turned him out into my uncle's pasture. Well, a horse's foot constantly grows. So he saw my uncle doing the riding horses, and he asked my uncle, hey, could you trim my horse's feet and put the shoes back on? Well, when they came and got the horse, the guy asked them to do it right away because they were going to go start training the horse again. Well, the horse went out first race after they trained him for a couple of weeks, set its own personal record. Well, the guy started saying, hey, will you shoe my horse? Will you keep putting shoes on it? And then other people asked, and my uncle actually took an early retirement from the steel plant and just started doing it. And when he was at his peak, there were folks that would either pay for his trip down there or fly him down to New York City and New Jersey to shoe their horses.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of tracks, a lot of harness racing down that way.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Then did you travel down that way when you were training harness horses too?
I was at the one on Grand Island. I believe it's Roosevelt Raceway.
Okay.
I was there for 5-6 days for one race with Mountain Land.
Okay. So then did he have horses, or you just helped him with the horses?
No. My uncle had a couple of race horses, but he built the track, built one barn, 20-stall barn. And might have been more than 20. It was at least 20 stalls. And started charging people to keep their horse there.
Right.
So, me being a kid, people looking for somebody to feed their horse in the morning. So I'd go over before school, feed and water the horses. And then the same thing at night,
Right.
And they'd give you like 50 cents or something like that a day per horse.
Oh, and then now Doc Hall had a farm up there. Was he owning racehorses when you guys were in it?
Yeah. Doc Hall and my uncle were real good friends. Real good friends.
Because that farm that was Doc Hall's, that was a military horse farm, correct? Originally,
yeah. And then Doc bought it, put in a racetrack, and turned it into harness horses. That's right on
Eden Evans Center Road, and
Eden Evans Center, yeah.
Kind of catty corner from where the thruway entrance is.
Yeah.
And then down this way, Dick Howard always had some horses, but I think he was probably all his horses were probably not even running the track anymore.
Oh yeah.
By the time you moved down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he knew me.
Okay.
He knew me as Johnny's nephew.
So he knew him from back then.
Yeah.
But by the time you moved down here, you moved down here in the early 90s?
Yeah, mid-90s.
Mid-90s? So his horses were already out to pasture by then, or
yeah,
some Amish had a few of them and whatever, but like Howard Smith's horses, which Howard had passed away probably by the time he moved down here, but his horses, as far as I know, they still own a horse or two.
Yeah.
And so there's some harness racing around here, and it used to be all of them used to go to the Amish would buy them or give them to them so they got to do something. For the last few years they couldn't race anymore. But we talked about fly fishing. How old were you when you got your first fly fishing rod?
11 or 12.
And it was basically self-taught, you said.
Yeah.
And
what was kind of crazy is that when I was 14 or 15, they had a fly fishing thing, learning how to fly cast at Frontier High School. And I went in there and the instructor's showing all these people. I picked up the rod and I could fake. Now, mind you, I wasn't very big, but I picked up the rod and I could almost cast as far as he could. The guy even said to me, "Do that again,"
Now, did that work good down in the bottom of 18 Mile Creek? Or is that a little tight?
It was just something that I wanted to do. I could catch fish other ways, but you got to realize back then spinning reels had just come out.
So you were either using a fixed or bait caster, or you were using
the fly.
Right.
And Duke Spittler would take his fly rod with fly reel on it, put Dacron on it, and take it catfish fishing. Pull the line out, let the line lay on the ground, and then just cast. And to see him fight a catfish with that thing, that was...
Right, because they're rather long.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of catfishing 18 Mile?
Yeah. Yeah.
Climbing down there in the dark was fun, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. But they didn't go far up. You'd get a run of bullheads like in May or June, and that would come up the creek. But the catfish, you had to go to the mouth.
And then you would just drive down the road and just get to the mouth down there rather than...
Yeah.
How far is it from your grandfather's farm to the mouth if you walked in the creek?
Oh, geez.
Quite a ways. 6 miles?
At least. Because that creek...
Right. How many times did you do it?
Didn't.
No?
No. It's a whole lot easier to ride the bicycle.
I figured you were adventurous enough to try it.
You got to know the sections of the creek, and it was a whole lot easier to ride your bicycle on the road, you knew where there was a way down there.
Yeah, I'll bet crossing 20 on the bicycle was fun.
Getting caught on the thruway wasn't a good idea, though.
Yeah. I do remember a story, something about you got caught in a thruway with something you weren't supposed to be on the thruway with, and you ended up not getting your driver's license when you were supposed to get it, right?
Well, that had a little bit to do with it, but I got caught in the thruway with a bicycle. I got caught in the thruway riding a horse. It was a whole lot easier to go across the thruway bridge over the creek than it was to go down in the creek and then back up.
It's harder to ride a bicycle down in the creek and back up, too.
You didn't take the bicycle.
Parachuting the bicycle.
I got a picture of a one-night stand. I got a picture of a one-night stand. But now she's gone. I've been there about all night long.
I had a picture sent to me today, and it was you and Luke and Tony and Cindy on a dock. Do you remember that day of fishing?
No, I don't. I know where it was, though.
Where was it?
Chautauqua Lake.
Oh, so it was down this way. Who do you figure took the picture?
I got no clue.
Because it's, from a ways away.
Could have been my dad,
Okay.
because it had to be on a weekend, because I didn't get Tony during the week. And it could have been my dad standing on the dock and taking a picture of me
Yeah.
with one of those little,
A 35 millimeter.
no, a little instant camera.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that would have had to been, Luke was probably 5 in that.
Yeah, so it was probably 88.
Yeah, in that neighborhood. That picture will end up on the slideshow with one of the episodes. I can't promise you it'll be on this episode, and maybe it'll be on all the episodes. I don't know.
I got to find those pictures that I do have.
Well, they're still coming in, so you're going to see them all, but as I see the ones that really stick out to me, I'll send them to you. So what was your most memorable day fishing, whether it be ice fishing or on the boat or, walking up the creek 100 miles to try to catch a steelhead?
Right now, it's probably the day me and my dad got over 200 perch. Because on the way home, my dad stops at Charlie's Seafood and goes in, grabs 2 buckets. You gotta realize they didn't have plastic buckets back then. They were galvanized buckets. Goes in, grabs 2 buckets, fills them full of perch, comes back out, and says, okay, now we got gas for next time.
And you still had plenty to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But we got home, there was 130 or 140, and I got no clue how many were in the buckets, but...
Was this on the ice that you caught them?
No.
No?
Out in the boat.
On the boat. Was your dad's boat or your boat?
My dad's.
And what did he have for a boat?
He had a 16-foot Sangster craft with a 40-horse Evinrude on it.
And then you didn't go out an awful long ways on that.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah? It had some high sides on it?
Yeah. We'd go out, like in the fall, perch fishing. You're 2 miles out, 3 miles out.
Just like you are when we're ice fishing.
Yeah.
And then you said, you used to tell us stories about the guys would drive from Woodlawn all the way down to Sturgeon Point.
Yep.
On the ice. And all the shenanigans back when you'd have enough ice to do such a thing.
Well, it used to be crazy because once the ice formed, you had to take and bring your jalopy, your ice vehicle, down to the parking lot at Hamburg Town Park. So you had a space, because mid-season ice fishing, there wouldn't be a place to park.
So you pull your jalopy out, pull your car in,
Yeah.
load your jalopy, and go out on the Volkswagens, I'm assuming. Some
Volkswagens,
Jeeps.
Model Ts, Model As, what do you call it? Station wagons with just the windshield and roof over the front two seats.
The hole cut in the bottom.
No, you just hauled your stuff out there. You always had to have two 12-inch 2x12 planks, because if you came to a crack, you'd put those across it to drive across it.
Have you ever been like Michigan or anywhere up there on those small lakes where they put the ice house out when the ice forms and they pull it off in the spring? Have you ever been there to see that operation?
No, I've never been up there, but I've been the Adirondacks where people have done it. And believe it or not, they used to do it down at Chautauqua Lake.
Okay.
They'd pull the houses out there with a garden tractor. We didn't have all the, and your biggest snowmobile back then was probably a 10-horse.
Right.
But they'd use a garden tractor or a Volkswagen, something relatively light, and pull them out there. But I worked with a guy whose uncle or whatever had it was like 8x16 that he would tow out there every year with a little wood stove in it. And
so we used to get behind an 8 or 10-foot windbreak, 4 or 5 of us, and have plenty of room, so I can imagine.
Yeah.
Did you run when you were ice fishing way back then, did you run all wooden tip-ups?
No. In the beginning we did, and then what we did is you'd still have the tip-up as a line winder, but you'd put a bobber on it. And then after we started using spinning reels, we started using rods and reels.
So you were fishing Chautauqua Lake almost your whole life too then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every spring you'd go down there for the crappie or calicos and perch.
What was the farthest you and your dad would travel to? Would your brothers go too, or it was mostly you and your dad? Or
mostly me and my dad. My brothers would go, but they wouldn't. There were a lot of times my dad be ready to go. They didn't want to get out of bed. My dad would say, "Let's go."
Right. And then what was the farthest you guys used to travel to? Was Chautauqua Lake about the farthest you used to travel, or?
Well, yeah, Chautauqua Lake. We used to fish Niagara River a lot.
Which, if you think about it, it seems like it's closer, but that's probably almost as far as Chautauqua Lake from the farm.
No.
No?
No. No, you could be there in less than a half hour.
Down in the gorge, or?
No, we'd fish like near the Peace Bridge, all the way down to Grand Island.
Fish off the shore there? Or?
Yeah.
And then you didn't do it. Did you do much fishing on the small boat harbor, or was that a little too?
We used to go there when Lake Erie wasn't froze yet, Did
smelt come in there?
Yeah.
So you'd probably get smelt even if there wasn't anything else to.
Yeah, the smelt population was huge.
Finished telling the story last week, but we got cut off about your biggest buck.
Oh, yeah, it was a 4-pointer I shot in Angola, and it was 18-inch spread.
Now, when do you think that might have been time-wise?
Late 70s. Because I was married to Tony's mom.
And so there's areas down there that you couldn't hunt with a shotgun or a rifle, right? Between 5 and the lake, you can't hunt.
Right.
Could you bow hunt between 5 and the lake?
No.
And bow hunting wasn't nearly as big of a thing then. I mean, guys did it probably, but
Yeah. But no, you're not allowed to deer hunt between Route 5, Lakeshore Road, where Lakeshore Road is, and then it turns into Route 5.
Okay. What was the first concert you went to? Was it a concert or a festival or?
Todd Rundgren at Chestnut Ridge County Park.
Right, and that wasn't far for you.
No, that's Orchard Park, you know.
Up by where the toboggan chutes are? Or?
No. Back then, they had a little stage set that sat near one of the, I can't remember whether it was a football field or baseball, whatever.
Right.
But they had, a stage set up, and then the reason they quit doing it is the stage became in such ill repair.
Rather than fix it, they just stopped having concerts.
Yeah, they just...
Similar like when they do the art park shows now, but that's up in Niagara County.
Yeah.
What was the first Dead show you went to? Because you traveled for a bunch of them, correct?
Yeah. Probably right around 1980.
So about the time you were probably starting to see Cindy, or just before?
Just before.
You guys had a whole group of guys you went with, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, matter of fact, the one we went to Rochester, and Jim Flanagan was going to Niagara University. And we were going to pick him up on the way there. Well, the car we were going to take broke down, and Jim was a little guy. He ended up going blind, but he was a little guy. So he had to basically sit on somebody's lap in the back of the car.
So, was he the blind guy that was when you push started the car and the cops pulled up? They had the blind guy driving. Was that at a bar, or you guys were just at some?
No, we were leaving a bar, and the car wouldn't start, and you can't have Jim pushing it. He's blind. So what we did is we put Jim in the driver's seat, pushed the car out of the parking lot onto Amsdale Road. Then we pushed the car, told Jim, pop the clutch. The car starts, hit the brakes. Just hold the steering wheel straight. Well, he took the car, put it in neutral, and he's sitting in the driver's seat. We're going to get in. A Hamburg cop pulls up, and he walks up to Jim and says, I need to see your driver's license. And Jim says, I'm blind. I can't have a driver's license. And the cop looks at us. He says, okay, what's going on? So we explained it to him, and he laughed a little bit and just asked us where we were going. Well, we were going to Curtis's house, which is about a mile down the road. Maybe a mile and a half. It's not far. And he says, okay, I'm going to follow you. So the cop followed us to Curtis's house and, gave us a when we pulled in the driveway.
A story he tells to everybody, too, now.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. So, I caught a blind guy driving.
I'd like to see your driver's license. Yeah, so would I. You got any plans on fishing? Things are going to be a little squirrely weather-wise here for the next few days.
No, I won't. I might. We get one of those where it gets clear in the afternoon when it's warm out, because all the little creeks will have fish in them now.
Things are warming up a little bit.
Well, it's not only that, you're getting water.
Right.
The small creeks have had no water.
So you're saying probably next couple of weeks, steelhead's going to be...
Usually on Cattaraugus, you've got up until middle of May.
Yep. And then again later in the fall, right?
Yeah, then it starts again in September.
Nice.
Okay, grab me a beer.
It's past his 8 o'clock beer.